Hi, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. First off, I'd like to thank you all for continuing to watch my videos and to support my videos and to provide feedback or share your opinions and thoughts on all the videos. And, it truly does mean a lot to me, and I am really grateful for you. So, thank you. For today's episode, I'm really pleased to share a conversation I had with Tatiana Hopper, a photographer and a filmmaker that I truly admire, someone that inspired me to make better YouTube videos. But due to the distance between us and our schedules not matching up, we had to do this remotely. Having said that, I am really pleased with the way we were able to connect during the call and how we were able to get into deeper topics as the conversation progressed. Without further ado, as Tatiana would say it, grab a drink, grab your pet, get comfortable because this is a conversation you wouldn't want to miss. Hello Tatiana, welcome to my channel. I've always wanted to have like a long form conversation in my channel, um, so yeah, thank you for agreeing to do this. And for those of us that probably don't know about you, could you please give us a bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I'm Tatiana. I am a film photographer based currently in England, so in the UK. Been living here for a little while now. I photograph. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about photography and photography related things, I suppose.
Yeah.
My videos can be a bit diverse in the sense that touches a bit of here and there philosophy and other things. So I've studied filmmaking, and it's an area that I'm also interested in. Hopefully, developing some projects in the future. I write, so I don't share a lot of that, but yeah. So I kind of like to be very creative in a way.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I do.
What do you write?
One of my majors in film school, and currently for my master's as well. So my major is writing for cinema and television.
Oh, that's cool.
So
You're studying right now, a master's?
yeah,
Oh,
even
sweet.
though kind of like so the truth is that I've put it on hold a little bit because
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure a couple of things out. I feel like with aging, you kind of like define as well some like projects and some things, some other goals that you might have, and so yeah, I need to figure out like whether I should proceed with a more academic path and finish it, or kind of like I dedicate myself to other things and like pursue a more freelance sort of like artistic thing career in a way. And so yeah, I'm in that course of life. So I've done half of my masters,
Right.
and here I am in the sort of creative limbo.
Right. Right.
I
We've
like
all
to
been
call it
there.
that way. And yeah, so yeah, I write scripts, and I've done a bit of like a bit of everything. I've tried a bit of everything, like poetry,
Yeah.
short stories, and stuff like that.
Oh,
It's something that I really like to do as well.
well, that's awesome. We have you shared that on your YouTube or no? Probably not.
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, I mean, I feel like it's something that I would have to include in a video that would be a bit more personal. Probably be photography combining with a poem or something like that, which I've thought of doing.
Right.
Actually, my brother, who's also a photographer and is like very creative person as well, he's lovely, and he is working now on a video where I wrote a poem for that specific video. So it's coming out at some point in time, and I'll be
Oh, cool.
sharing it, I'm sure. So it's kind of like something that I do here and there, but I haven't fully like shared it on the channel.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's pretty cool. Because I found your YouTube channel, I want to say early 2021. Somebody that I follow must have shared it on Instagram, and I found your channel, and I found it really inspiring because I think you still do, where you talk about other photographers' work and what informed their work and their style, and how their environment might have influenced what they were doing at the time, or how their work influenced people that followed, and those kind of videos definitely helped me to put things into perspective and open my avenues of inspiration, let's say, to photographers that I've never heard of or would never have thought of, looking at. What happened?
No. I was just looking to make sure that I still
Okay.
have time on my card.
I
I'm
thought somebody
sorry.
was there.
I'm
um,
sorry.
so no, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, and I'm sure like videos that you're gonna put out later on where it combines some of your other interests would be pretty cool. How do you find YouTube? How do you find being a YouTuber?
So I'm gonna tackle this question in two ways.
Sure.
So yeah, with my people that I know, and it's kind of like sort of like saying what I do and stuff. They understand me. They kind of like they know me. So it's funny for them watching the videos and dealing with me in real life. Some of the people that I don't know, I'm always like very wary of saying it, because when you say, oh, I'm a YouTuber, or I do YouTube, people will assume that you're a type of person like very
Right.
shallow, because they don't know you, so they don't know like what you're doing on YouTube. It could be photography videos like I do, it could be pranks, it could be any of the things. So
Yeah.
it's funny to kind of like talk about it for other people and saying what I do, but I feel like from a perspective of being a YouTuber, it's kind of say it's funny to say it, but yeah. So from a perspective of being one, I really like it actually.
Right.
I feel like it's so cool that I'm able to have like a positive community. I think for me the most rewarding thing is the community that is so positive,
Mm.
where I feel like even though you're kind of putting out yourself out there for like, in the internet, you don't even know who's watching, but the amount of support and the amount of positivity around the channel is so good. And so like, I feel comfortable in tackling different subjects, different videos, and I feel like also the people that watch the channel also feel comfortable in a way of opening up. And say recently, my last video was about like self-portraiture, so it was about self-portraits, and it was a video that I felt like, I told myself I put it on the side for so long, but I want to kind of like show that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to talk about your personal stuff, and it's okay to showcase your portraits. It's not selfies, it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
And so like it was so heartwarming to see like how people reacted to it, and they were telling me their stories and like sharing how they feel about their own body, their own like themselves. And again, I feel like that's one of the most rewarding things, knowing that you can have a positive impact
Right.
and you can learn so much with other people. I feel like that's the most rewarding thing about, for me, being a YouTuber in a way. And
Right.
it's kind of not very conventional, like I can wake up and decide like write a video, and like I'll record a video, I'll do something, just like it's every day is different, or whenever I have the opportunity of working for YouTube, it's different. So
Mm.
I like constant challenges and the constant like growth that it sort of puts you through, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your video on self portraits, and I did try and take a self portrait after that. I haven't developed the role yet, but you're right. Conversations like what you put out about self portraiture and self image um, definitely helps people to think about those things as well, and it kind of informs them that if somebody that they look up to puts it out there, for them it's easier to be like, okay, I guess it's okay for me to talk about it as well. This past few years I've been seeing that on mental health issues as well, where a lot of the YouTubers that I follow at least are openly talking about depression, anxiety, or having panic or whatever. I think it's very healthy that these kind of conversations are happening online as well. And another, like, kind of building on what you said about putting out a variety of work, because one of the words that I hate on online is finding your niche, right? And a lot of the time that's interpreted as doing same kinds of videos. What kind of propelled you to redefine that, and I'm going to do it my way? Like, what made you, was it a conscious choice, or did it just happen,
No,
or?
I feel like it's just natural. I think it does come across in my videos that I'm very much me. Like I don't put up any fronts. I don't like, you know, So for me, I just go by being myself. I am very curious about so many things, and my mind
Right.
is always like, "Oh, I've heard about that photographer. I'm gonna have to check it out." Or
Right.
I'll be like, I'll have an idea about, like, for instance, the self-portrait video. It's something that I've been doing for so long, so I need to tackle that. Or I've done so many videos, like, and for me, it's just like I take an interest in something, I'll dive into it, and if it's if it's something that I feel like, it'll be important to expose, it'll be important to talk about, I will. I feel that, in a way, of course, like my channel is kind of hard to define in the sense that, people know that I'm a film photographer, but I don't really fall into the category of film photography sort of YouTubers in a way. But I also don't fall into the category of like photography YouTube slash reviews. And so I think I fall into the category of the most important thing, which is myself. You should be yourself. And I think, like, if anyone out there, for instance, is create, and obviously I'm not trying to be, narcissistic in a way when I say, like, you should be your, like, I fall into the category of being myself. I
Right.
feel like you need to be truthful to who you are in order to pass the right image and the right things that you have to say. Like, I feel that if I were to just pick some video ideas because it gives me views, because it's all about, I feel that it would be wrong to my personality, because I wouldn't be truthful about what I'm interested in, what I want to do, and what I want to talk about and say with my photography, my YouTube, my work, whatever it is. With regards to, like, niche and, like, oh, should we put labels as well? I don't really, like, for me, I think, like, it's hard, obviously, to sort of, like, define things. And even, like, when you fall into a category, I think, like, it's so much engulfed and boxed in that it kind of like, in a way, it sort of, um your creativity is quite limited
Mm.
because you're someone who's known for doing something,
Yeah.
as opposed to you're known for who you are, and
Yeah.
here you are talking about coconuts
Right.
or tea or photography
Yeah.
or this or that. So this is the thing, like, I find most important is to definitely be genuine about your interests, what is your message, what your goals are with your channel. Or for instance, I've always been truthful about the goals for my channel and stuff like that. So for me, yeah, it's something that I've done naturally because I'm, yeah, very interested in different things. And yeah, I guess that,
Yeah, no, I think it shows as well in your videos. You do come across as yourself, and it doesn't feel like a front. In terms of medium, I know you're a film photographer. Why, like, did you start shooting film and you've continued it, or were you in digital and then changed? Like, how did that happen?
so no, like, I remember, like, I've been photographing since, like, it's weird because I feel like I grew up around cameras in a way. Like, I remember, like, being a little demon and going and, like, stealing my aunt's camera, like a little point and shoot that she'd have, and I would photograph, obviously in film, and this was like many many years ago. And I would have fun and do that constantly. And then as I grew up, I sort of, like, picked up, like, a lot of cameras, whatever it was around. And as a teenager, I remember, phones were starting to, obviously smartphones were coming out and all of that. So I was like, yeah, all for it. I photographed with whatever I had at hand in a way. And then, as I went on and progressed to, from going to university. At the time, I was still very dependent on my parents. My parents could only afford, like, a certain type of camera. They wouldn't
Right.
obviously be buying me Leicas, you know what I mean? For me, it was more like, they bought me whatever they could. And so I just took on the opportunity of photographing with what I have at hand. So I remember, like, photographing with this Canon, 100 something. I can't remember. Like, it was just a very basic digital Canon.
Right.
And then I would go to vintage shops and vintage sort of, like, fairs and find, like, film cameras, and I would also do that. So it's kind of like something that I've always done it. But there was a time in my life where I was like, right, I really like to do this. I really like the medium of film more than digital. And obviously I shot digital because, again, it was like, you know in a way, like being in film school as well, is kind of like where they put you at in a way. It was very rare for us to shoot in film school. I remember that we did a couple of photos, like film, like a 35 mm camera,
Right.
and we did shoot like with film, but it was just very rare. I feel like, now it's good that I've been seeing like the comeback of film. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. But at the time, like, it wasn't like something so, you know, popular or trendy or like, but I kept doing it, and then over time I sort of like fell more and more in love with film photography and the medium itself. And so I began, buying more cameras, and then, ditching some, going more. So I tried and tried and tried until like now, obviously, I've taken photography way more seriously than I would have taken years and years ago.
Right.
And yeah, I've just yeah, got my equipment, and it is what it is, I suppose.
So you did bachelor's, something to do with filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
And then you're now also doing master's that's more on the side of writing, but in the area of filmmaking. Like how has that informed your work? How did that change, your creativity, or did it at all? Did it help?
I feel like it did, on many many levels. Obviously, when you study filmmaking, so
Right.
you become accustomed to kind of like watch a lot of movies. So your visual culture, in a way, increases by a whole lot, in terms of like the movies that you're gonna watch. And then obviously in filmmaking, we've always, at least I've been thought of for looking at other visual arts such as photography, such as painting. And so in a way I do feel like everything is connected. But so in a way, studying filmmaking definitely put me on a map for like knowing different cultures, different ways of filming. I've watched films from India, I've watched films from Africa, I've watched American movies, like classical movies, silent movies. So, and you began noticing composition, so you began
Right.
noticing, very different things about like, telling a story visually. And
Yeah.
again, this ties in with the second thing that I was going to say, which is storytelling.
Right.
So obviously it's a very important capacity and quality to have in a photo.
Mm.
Um, it's kind of odd, because obviously when you describe filmmaking and describe storytelling, you're talking about like obviously movies with a full-on story. But when you're talking about one image solely static with storytelling, it's hard to come by good examples of it. But I feel like, because again I was exposed to like different elements, composition, contrast, formal elements, but also like very psychological ones such as depth, emotion, storytelling. I kind of like transported that to photography and vice versa, because I remember like when I was in film school, before we directed an exercise or whatever we were doing, we would have to do this storyboard. And
Right.
so some of my colleagues were very good at drawing, and honestly, I'm so bad. It's unbelievable. I can't put it into words.
Right.
I'm like, I probably will draw like stick man, like that's the most of my capacities.
Right.
And so I would actually pick up cameras
Right.
and I would photograph my storyboards, which is also something that you can do and people do, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
But like I would feel very comfortable. And I think that this relationship, sort of like a filmmaking photography, kind of like intertwined in here in this area of building storyboards and storytelling. And so that sort of like, it's still manifesting itself with my photography these days, like how I sometimes frame something, or I would have someone posing for me in a very specific way that is suggestive to off-screen elements. So it's something filmmaking related. So I don't know, I feel like they've both sort of tie in together in a way.
Are there any other mediums you draw inspiration from that's not visual?
Not visual, music. Yes,
Music?
music. I love music. I'm always listening to music, and it can go from classical music to hip hop. I mean,
Right.
my musical taste is very eclectic in a way, because I just feel like music is such a great source of inspiration. It puts you in a mood, and I've been, for instance, like on photo walks, and I'm just going photographing, and sometimes I will put a song on and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just like be very into the moment, and it just like influences my mood. So definitely, like I would say, music is a big thing for me as well.
Right.
And I feel like it's something that as well in my videos, like I put a lot of effort into choosing the right songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
A lot of
so
the
they
times, like the intros that you make are very, very cool. Like the music and the visuals really blend together. Definitely, yeah. Is there like an album, a recent album that's your favorite that we can check
um
out?
no, actually, I've been listening to two bands. Well, I've always listened to a lot of different, you know,
Yeah.
but I feel like lately I've been listening to the Beatles a lot
Okay.
because I have a video, an upcoming video,
Okay.
uh, that it is ties in with the Beatles in a way,
All right.
and so I've been listening to the White Album a lot. It's one of my favorite albums as well. Um, and then yeah, I just Eleanor Rigby is one of my favorite songs, and so I always like kind of like have it in my head. And then yeah, loads of different bands. I like the Falls. I know that a lot of people know Falls, the British band. So it's they've released I think a new EP recently. And yeah, I mean I'm a big fan. Um,
I was gonna say, have you been to the Beatles? What was it called? Penny Lane, or the street where they that famous photo was taken? It was
Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in London, isn't
Yeah. Yeah.
it?
Have you been?
No, I've not been actually. No, 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 no. But it's funny because so the video that I'm working on that ties with the Beatles is for my show for my series White Noise, and so it's about Linda McCartney's photography. So obviously she was married to Paul McCartney, and so I've seen some of the behind the scenes photos of that glorious kind of like album cover of the Abbey Road. I think it's an album cover, isn't it? Like, I hope I'm not like misquoting anything here, but yeah. And so I've seen like a couple of photos where they were like about to go into the crossroads, and just like they're like, just like having a moment of like laughing and stuff. And it's so cool to see like the behind the scenes of something so iconic. I
I
really
bet.
like it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
How did you get hold of that? Or is it just online?
um,
And we're just not
I,
looking.
I found it online, but I think like in the book, because there's a specific book that I'm going to be mentioning in the video.
Okay.
I think it is in the book. There is a photo of like Paul McCartney, John Lennon, and like they're whole just like kind of like goofing around, and it's really funny.
That's
And
cool.
yeah,
I look forward to that video.
yeah. Do you like the
I
Beatles?
do, yeah, yeah. Well, my wife is going through a phase of listening to Beatles all day, every day. So, like,
No
yeah,
way.
today she's
What's
not
your
home.
favorite
Like, she
Beatle
went to
then?
work. But yeah, yesterday she was playing it. Yeah, we've been listening to Beatles as well. So, yeah.
What's your favorite Beatle? Do you
Who's
have
my favorite Beatle? It's got to be between Paul and John Lennon. But I'm going to say Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, he can still sing and play so well. Someone who's been doing it at such high level for so long, who can still do it, it's very inspiring. So yeah, him. I'm sure, like, if John had been alive, he would probably be still performing at the highest level possible, taken too soon. But yeah. So we talked a bit about the video you've been working on. Are there any projects that you're working on apart from the videos that you do for your channel?
Um. Hmm.
Any projects you can talk
Yes.
about?
Yeah. So there's one that I can't talk about, just for the sole fact that I feel that there's so much that I need to do still for it.
Right,
There's the basic idea, but it's something that I would really love to do one day.
right,
It's something that has been in the process of writing and all of that. And then there's another one where it's it this. So this first one is kind of like filmmaking related, but this second one is more like photography related, and so it has to do with like over the past years, just like my journey up until now. Kind of like seeing the world and just like being lost in a way, trying to find myself, trying to find my path. And so I feel like in a lot of my photos, over the years there's a recurrent theme of like loneliness and also like sort of existentialism in a way. And I feel that, you know, and also there's like some photos that have a dreamy sort of quality, and I feel like it was a reflection of how I so I like felt over the years up until now, when I'm kind of like, you know, I feel like I'm reaching the end of a cycle where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna decide like to pursue something like, you know, and do kind of like it ties in what I was telling you in the beginning about the university. And I was like, okay, should I follow? Should I don't follow? Should I
Right.
not follow? Right. And so for me, I feel like I'm getting to the cycle of like, okay, I know more or less up until say my early 20s, until now, like I've been in search of something, in search of someone in a
Right.
way that is me,
Right.
like my personality, my identity. And
Yeah.
so I feel that, you know, the project I'm working on is much more like related to that, like related to all these years and how I've dealt with, you know, coping with things and try to find myself and traveling a lot along the way. So I feel like I'm going to be tying a lot of images from very different places. And yeah, it's something that I'm very excited about. You know, and something that I've been working for a while now, but it's again, I don't like sort of to advertise, you know, it's going to be this and that, because I don't want to create expectations,
Of course.
you
Yeah.
know, and myself as well. I don't want to create expectations for myself, because if I fail, I know that I'll be like, you know, very disappointed with myself. And
Right.
even though I'll be like, okay, you know, I'll try it again. But like, you know, it's in a way like I feel that you should take it with, go with the flow in a way, and just like work on it. And once you feel like it's ready to sort of share with other people, then you'll do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what I've been doing.
Well, thank you for
Project
sharing that. It
wise.
sounds like a very personal project, and to be able to put that journey into any form, whether it's book or exhibition or anything, is gonna be a challenge. So yeah, all the very best, and thanks for letting us know.
Thank you.
And in terms of your process, extending on the projects itself, how do you go about it? Does it come from an idea, or do you just start shooting and somewhere along the line, when you look at the work, an idea forms in your head, or is it a mixture, or how do you go about
Um,
projects?
I feel like it really depends on the kind of like field that I'm working on, if
Mm.
that makes sense. Like, say, sometimes with writing, like I know that there's an idea or a theme or something that I want to say, and because it's easy when you're writing to get lost in like characters and ideas and like, oh, this would be cool and that would be cool, because there's no restraints, you know, in terms of like time, place, you know, like you can travel back in time, you can put it like in the future. However, like, you know, you always have to go back to the main idea or to the main theme in order to guide yourself, kind of like a compass in a way. It should guide you. So that's how I would say if I were to write. But for instance, with photography for me, which is obviously one of my main medias, I feel that in a way it's kind of like I'll shoot and I'll sort of like go with the flow, and
Mm-hmm.
then it'll probably come as I kind of like say, I know what I like to photograph in
Mm-hmm.
terms of I know what I'm looking for
Right.
in how I see the world. I know exactly the themes that I'm looking for. And I feel that even though, say, looking at my photography, for instance, like I've been sharing quite recently my work that I photographed in Madeira, which is an island of Portugal that I've visited quite recently. And I feel like even looking at those photos, and it kind of ties with the photos that I've been doing in the UK, and it kind of ties with the photos I've been doing elsewhere, because they all have very common sort of interests or very common sort of like moods in a way. And so for me, I know what I'm looking for. And then, you know, once I decide, okay, I feel like I've got enough of a body to work with, and I'll look and I'll analyze. For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
photography is something that you have to really go by your gut, by your instinct as well, by your emotion. You need to be led by your emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to sort of like say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to go somewhere and photograph, and my book or exhibition or whatever it is going to be about loneliness. And so there's a sort of like logical component to it that, you know, in a way restrains you. I rather like go with an open mind and just photograph, because I know that over the years, I believe that a photo is a combination of who you are, how you see the world, and how you interact with the world, and vice versa. How the
Yeah.
world sees you as well.
Yeah.
And I feel that if I take a photo of a specific place, it's going to be in a way, it's going to have a bit of myself in it. Just like if you were to photograph the same place as me, it would still be different because everyone looks at the world in different ways. And that's how I feel about it. So
Right.
photography wise, that's how I feel about it, and that's how I kind of like usually work when it comes to photography.
Cool. Yeah, and you're right. Like in that sense, photos are in some ways like time capsules as well. Like you can look at a photo that you took years before and kind of it would take you back to who you were at the time, because we all change and evolve, and we go through shit, right? And yeah, no, I get that. I know that you draw inspiration from a variety of mediums, and and you do make a lot of videos on photo books and photography of people. Uh, is there a photo book that recently kind of took your breath away, or like inspired you to do something, or you couldn't stop thinking about it? Because I'm sure you can relate to that, right? Like you come across something, because nowadays like there's so much work that you can see, so many photos, so many videos, but that one photo or that one book or that one video kind of makes you take a pause. Has there been a book or anything really like that recently?
Actually, I came across the work of someone who is extremely famous. Who is, when I say famous, I don't say like famous, like, I say like famous in his field. So we're talking about photography, and I came across the work of Eugene Smith, who I was immediately drawn to. And there's this photo. Oh my God, I can't. We need to sort of find this photo so to put it in a video for
Right.
reference for people. But I feel like it was in Japan, and it was about like it was this Japanese family. I was watching this video, right, and my mind went completely blank as to what the person was saying because I just focused on the photo, and I was just like, whoa. It just it touched me in a way, and it's kind of like sometimes when you're just touched by something and you don't really know why, but
Hmm.
you know that you're touched by it, and it just calls you such an emotion. I don't know, maybe I'm too emotional
No,
sometimes.
no, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I feel that, his work, and then as I dived more and I saw his work with, because he was someone, from what I could gather, he would concentrate like and photograph quite a lot during a period of time, like of 2, 3, 4 years or more, a specific subject. I remember they did a work about mining. I think it was miners, and I just came across the photos and I was just like blown away with the humanity in them. It's just crazy, and it's definitely someone whose work really made a big impression on me. Like I want to, and I know obviously I will bring it to the channel, but I feel like I want to do a bit more than just like the odd video about maybe like the lessons we can take from this, maybe like, kind of like my sort of like emotionally, like how can we grow from this? Because I feel like if it's such a big impression, like with me, I don't know, and it's definitely someone I want to explore a lot more, and be more comfortable to talk about.
Well, now I want to see that photo you're talking about.
I think
I'm
that it
gonna
is
Google
two
for sure.
photos. One of them is of someone holding someone else, kind of like the Pietà, like a sort of like, it reminds me of the Pietà, like a classic sculpture. And then like the other one, I think it was like just this is the thing, it's very frustrating because I want to say like it's this photo and that it was taken at this time and it was, the title and everything, as I usually do, but I
Right,
just
right.
don't know.
No, no. I mean,
um
yeah. I put you in
and
the
it's
spot
just
anyway,
like,
so yeah,
no, 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 it's fine. I
yeah,
will definitely find them and I'll forward them to you, and
yeah,
people will be able to see what we're talking about, that
yeah.
we're not here sitting and talking crazy crazy stuff. But yeah, And I feel that definitely is something that I've just been blown away completely.
Sweet, sweet. Black and white has been, from what I've seen, a lot of your work has been in black and white. And it's like what you were saying, they have this sort of dreamy feel and sometimes almost like painterly feel as well in some of these images. Is black and white your preferred medium? If so, why?
Um, I don't know, because I feel that I'm at a point where I photography both. Although I will always like nurture like a sort of like special, like I love black and white, but I wouldn't want my work to just be around black and white, solely because for me it's a bit more challenging to convey the same emotions when you have color. Because see, like I feel that there's this black and white facilitates the mind to go to a place of like memory, of emotion. It immediately takes this uh, component of time from the table, because you're just transported to a different reality. And sometimes for me, like it's too, I want to say this, but I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm very full of myself. No, but sometimes it is too easy to convey that. So for me, like I feel that, I've seen a lot of photographers doing such an amazing work with color that I would know, like I would want to do the same in terms of like using both mediums of black and white and color to be able to convey my ideas. I feel like it's a good challenge to have as a creative person, as a creative, whatever field you're working on. And I feel that there was a period of time where I photographed a whole lot of black and white, like exclusively photographed black and white in my early 20s. But then I kind of missed the whole thing of photographing with color. Composing with color is very different than composing with black and white. And so for me, like I wouldn't say that I have that one is above the other.
Right.
I will always have like a special place in my heart for black and white, but
Yeah.
I would continue, or I would love to continue to be able to do both.
Right.
I feel that, for instance, like with the photos of Madeira, it was just such an incredible place, and with shooting black and white and color is also like you need to kind of like have uh, when you feel the place, you know that it's kind of like you need some black and white there, or you need the colors popping off from your reality that you're photographing. So I knew when I entered that place with the trees and the clouds, because actually it is cloud, it's not fog, because it's like such higher up, like it's like a sort of valley in the mountain, like in the mountain region of like Madeira. Well, region, it's just there's a big peak
Yeah.
in there.
Right.
And basically it's kind of like a little valley with all these trees, and what you see is like the clouds going past, from what
Right.
I've been told.
Right.
I believe that.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, of
I was
course, yeah.
there, but I'm not a native from there, so yeah. But it was such a beautiful, like mystical sort of place that I was so emotional. I don't know. I was just like, I was photographing. I was just like, I need some black and white, and I just put black and white in my camera. I was like photographing around. I felt like a kid. I was
Right.
just so happy, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was very very cool, very very cool. Um,
Was it quiet as well? Like, because normally when you're going places, if you find, for me at least, like when there are a lot of tourists, I feel like it's harder to have that intimacy with where I am. Not that that doesn't happen, but if I'm by myself in, I don't know, it could be anywhere, and if it's a sunset or if it's one of those arresting moments like a cloud going through a valley, all the better. Like, I do find myself being sort of emotional, you know.
mhm.
And sometimes I don't take photos. Sometimes I am running around taking photos all the time. But is it a solo trip or did you go with somebody else? Or
No, actually, I was with my family at the time, and my brother was running around photographing, and he was like also like totally going crazy. But I feel like in moments like this, see, and and this is kind of like something that I could say I have a problem with saying that, but I am very much, I like to be alone in moments like this, because I know that just the fact that people are talking to me, or it's not that I'm, oh, please don't talk to me, I'm a diva. No, it's just the fact that, it messes with your concentration. And I just like, I go a lot by feeling, by emotion. So if somebody, or if a lot of people are around you and just constantly like talking to you, I can't be in a moment. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. No, I think I can relate to that to some extent. Yeah.
I feel like, for instance, like I've been asked to go on like photo walks with friends, or like group photo walks, and I just feel like for me, my personality wouldn't really suit that.
Right.
Not that I don't like people or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it's just like, again, I feel that going with what I know of myself and what I'm looking for, etc., I feel like having a lot of people around could be overwhelming. And so
Right.
I don't know if you're like this, or if you feel like this, but I feel that obviously, if one thing is, if you're photographing in a city, obviously you're gonna have loads of people,
Yeah.
and but you're by yourself. But I feel like when you're just with other photographers, or there's like this sort of like observation as well of what you're doing, and
Mm.
kind of like exchange of impressions, it just, I don't know, I feel like I can't concentrate. I've done it once and I just couldn't concentrate at all.
Yeah.
I felt very overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah. I think
So
I can
yeah.
relate to that. For the most part, I think I am like that too. And I used to struggle with it as well because I do like hanging out with people. It is hard when I'm out with other photographers trying to photograph. Sometimes it works if it's one or two people and we're good friends and we've known each other and we've talked a lot and we're just going to photograph, then I feel like there's no need to fill the silence. We both kind of would understand he's doing his own thing or she's doing her own thing and we don't need to talk. There's nothing. But then sometimes if it's somebody you're meeting for the first time, then nowadays I tell myself, okay, I'm going to meet this person. I'm not gonna come away with any good photos. I'll have my camera, but I'm going there to meet them, not to take photos. And that's how I overcome that sort of anxiety as well that comes with, like you said, oh, what if I take a shitty photo while while they're watching, or
Exactly, because then people are looking at you, and I just feel like, oh my god, I feel so observed, and I'm just like,
yeah,
oh, I want to shy away. I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
run away. But I feel that with this trip, right, in Madeira, because obviously me and my brother, I didn't have a problem at all with him interfering. I know that, is much more sociable than I am.
right,
Like, we are kind of like, we match quite well, because he compliments me and I compliment him in a way.
mm-hmm.
So like, I know that we were traveling quite a lot, and even like being around other people in the family, like they understood that I was like, she just let her do her own thing,
Right,
and they would let me like just roam around and come back. But yeah, like with photographing with my brother in this recent trip, because he filmed a lot of it as well. Which I'm very grateful for, because it's kind of hard when like you're, for instance, like working and you'd like to make a nice YouTube video with a nice B-roll, but like it's just too complicated to do
yeah,
everything at the same time. It's so overwhelming, and
yeah,
it takes a lot from your concentration of what really matters, which is taking a photo.
yeah.
So for me, yeah, I am very grateful to him, and so like
That's so
he sort of
cool.
like
I'm
yeah, he
jealous.
invaded me like so much. He'd come very close, and I was just like, Daniel, just give me some space. But then like I would be fine with him, because obviously he's my brother. So,
Right.
but yeah, we do work very well together. And one thing that I did say to him is like, I would like to do more of that, bring him more into the channel. Like, such a great influence to have. Like, he's always a very positive person, always like very creative. If I say like, oh, let's go into that bridge and just like film from there, and he's not gonna be the one who's like, oh, be careful. No, he's gonna be like, yeah, sure, let's go. So
Right.
we'll go. So yeah, he's a bit like me, a crazy cat. So yeah.
That's so cool, though. I totally understand what you mean by filming by yourself. It definitely interferes with photos, and a lot of the time, that's the choice. Like I would have to make. Is it gonna be a good sort of video that focuses more on filmmaking, or is it gonna be a good photography video? So it's great that you have your brother, especially like someone who you work well with, like that compliments you. That's really cool. What is your brother's social? I would like to check his work out as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll leave it down below. I mean,
Cool.
I'm gonna just text him and be like, "Hey, just to let you know, spoke a lot about you in this interview."
Yeah, no, I would love to
No, but
see
he
see
deserves
his
it. He's
work. Yeah.
such a nice person. Honestly, I'm not saying this because he's my brother. I'm gonna be like, oh, blowing his horn. But I feel that he really always has believed in me and what I'm doing, even before YouTube and all of that. Like
Mm.
he was always like very supportive and like reading my stuff and just like someone that always told me like never give up and like you're so like it's so cool what you're doing. And even like when sometimes we just make stupid mistakes and we're all trying to navigate through life anyway at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And so he's always been so supportive, and I am very supportive of him too. I can't wait to actually be able to travel more with him, so that it's also like good because we live in different countries now, and so it's good to maintain a sort of bond
Right.
with him through photography,
Yeah.
but through like our sort of like being creative.
Shared passion, right? That's always cool. So do you have any trips planned in the future? Summer?
No, not yet for the moment, for the time being, because I still like I have so much to do in terms of like processing, and I want to focus as well on the next few months on working on these projects, like specifically the photography one that and I feel that my life is so overwhelming sometimes. Like I have to work and then I have to do this and I have to do that, that
Right.
I barely have time to concentrate on like actually doing something. I mean, if I propose myself, and I told myself this year, like if I propose myself to do this project, I need to do it, and I need to
Mm.
stop, like as much as I love traveling, even though I'm terribly afraid of flying, but like even though I love traveling, um I just need to kind of like take a few months of the year to focus on my work and like putting together these little things that need to be put together. And that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few months, hopefully. I mean, I'll be traveling locally and traveling like maybe to nearby countries or like just simple traveling, but not like a long haul sort of traveling. Not for the moment, at least.
And that's also good that you're aware of that, and because a lot of the time for me previously at least, like that's what happened. Like I would want to do something, and then life always finds a way to screw up whatever you want to do, and you're gonna have to make those choices and figure out what's the priority for any given moment, right? You said a lot of processing to do. Did I misunderstand that? Do you mean film processing or?
Yeah, because I don't really kind of like I don't really say it, but like say I don't really like to go to labs. I process all my film, I scan all my film, so it's like quite a journey. I'm gonna say like it's nice, but then when you come to like roll number 9, roll number 10, and you're just like there developing for the whole day, it's just it can be quite exhausting at some point. And I do see the why people would resort to going to labs. Obviously, it's much more convenient. You pay and you have it all done professionally. But I feel like I've grown up so much with all the mistakes and all the things I've done with developing and processing my film. Um, and I think the last bit that I need to tackle, and maybe when I, maybe move somewhere else, somewhere different, and I have more space, it's definitely printing,
Yeah.
which is something that I've done before,
Right.
but not on like a scale that I want to do. Like I don't want to do like once in a while. I would like to be able to have a space where I could print like at least once a week.
Yeah.
Just like so that I could get the hang of it. And
Yeah.
like um, know more necessarily and like learn. So I feel like as a photographer, it's good to look for inspiration and just look to work on your artistic side, but also a lot of the knowledge that you'll have visually speaking and looking for the details in composition, you'll gain it from technical aspects such as developing your film like the whole process of like scanning and just going through everything that necessarily you wouldn't go with a digital camera because you just shoot and be there. But like I feel like so many times I'm developing my photos and I'm just like, see, I've this composition doesn't really work, or I could see. And just this exercise of observation, it's very, very important. And that's why one of the main things I do on my channel is I always say to people, like, try it, try it, try it, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
try it, because if you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of everything, trial and error, in a
Yeah.
way it is.
Yeah.
So
What you're saying makes sense. Yeah. I mean, especially with film, there's so many steps involved from you taking the photo to seeing the final image, whether it's in the print form or on your screen, whatever it may be. A lot of different hands touch it, and if you do all of those, processes, I'm sure there's more to gain from it as well. I've never developed my film, by the way, and
you
I
should.
yeah, I think it's definitely in the cards for me. I only recently went to print a couple of my photos because like I shot, when was this? End of April, I went to shoot some bluebells because that's something I've always wanted to do and never always like there was some reason or other that I wasn't able to do it. But this time I took some of those photos, and after I took the photos, I was like, I would love to see this in a print, like all these colors that I saw in person. And but I've never stepped in a darkroom before, so I kind of found a place where they had a training course, so I went there, and it's like magic. Like it blew me
Yeah, it's
away.
super cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, like the working with the enlarger and like the processor going through it, and it just comes out as I know it's not fully manual, so I'm sure that there are things that I could learn by actually developing the paper itself, but as a first step, I was definitely hooked, and I came out of that thinking, oh, I want to develop my film, at least
Yeah.
try it, to see if it's something that I would want to continue doing. So yeah, I'll definitely do that. And it would be a dream to have like enough space to have a dark room and be able to properly dispose of your chemicals and have printer enlarger and stuff like that. One day, one thing at a time. Um,
Absolutely.
so is photography and YouTube, is that the full-time gig, or do you do something else as well?
I do have a normal day job, and yeah, it's not related with YouTube or anything like that. I do get to be creative, which is cool, but no, it's just totally something different, and it allows, like, in a way, I've stepped down from like doing so many hours as I was doing, so that I could pursue more this sort of like YouTube and photography and etc., which is kind of cool. I mean, in a way, um, I can combine a lot of things, and I do a lot of things throughout my day. I usually wake up pretty early to work on here, and then I have to go there, and then it's just like, yeah, but yeah, right now it's as it is. And to be honest, I mean, obviously, I would have, say, I'll definitely love to like be able to do it full time and etc. But as it is right now, and I've always learned this through life, we have to be grateful for what we have. And I feel like as it is right now, and especially with, with the pandemic putting so much in perspective for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people out there in the world. And I'm very grateful for getting even to this stage, where
Right.
you're like able to do what you love, and like you're able to do, like, you talk about so much random stuff
Yeah.
with people you don't even know, but it's so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's really nice, so yeah.
Right. Now, I couldn't agree more with you on that. I'm in a similar boat. Like, I do have a 9 to 5. Definitely grateful that I still get to do this. And I am a morning person as well. So I wake up early and try and get some YouTube stuff done. Or if there's scanning to do or whatever it is, do that. And then do my 9 to 5 and then spend time with friends and family as well. I do feel really grateful. I don't think I felt this way 2 3 years ago. There was a lot of complaining in my head, but now I'm really grateful to be able to do what I'm doing, which reminds me of a question that I was asked a while ago by, you probably know this person, Vince Perry Jr.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vince. for one of his
Yeah,
photo corner
very,
videos.
very talented.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a great dude. Um, so he did a video series called Photo Corner where he asked a few questions with a bunch of photographers, and one of the questions was, "What does success mean to you?" Um, so what does it mean to you?
Success. I feel like success is for a lot of people equal to appearances, what people appear to have, what people appear to have achieved in a way. If they have a nice car, if they have a nice house, I feel like success equals to me fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel fulfilled with what I'm doing, if I feel content and happy, I am successful.
Yeah.
It's not my bank account that's going to dictate how successful I am in life.
Right.
And by no means I would ever like place an importance in that. Of course, you have to be secure and all of that. I mean, each to their own. But I feel like success for me is it's being fulfilled. It's being content. It's being feeling that you're in the right direction, in the right path, in a way. Yeah. As long as you feel that, I feel like, for instance, right now, there are a lot of things that I want to accomplish, and I'm very ambitious, but not in the sense of like ambitious of going over other people. I am ambitious in the sense of like I want more, like I would like to achieve more, because again, I'm sort of like the person who's always like, um, I'm very curious, and I always like want to know more and want to do more, and I feel that for me, I'm ambitious in a healthy sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I definitely would now looking at my life. I'm grateful for where I am, but I know that there's a lot to improve, and I know that there's a lot I would love to do with my life.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a way, I am um, slightly successful, but I know that I'm not where I want to be yet.
Right.
But I know that if I keep on working, if I keep on being patient and being open
Right.
to the things, opportunities in life and inspiration and whatever else, like I'm sure that I'll be getting to a position, again, not having to do with social status, with your bank account, with how many followers you have or whatever else.
Right.
But I'll be like, oh yeah, definitely, I'm 100% successful. Do you know what I mean? Like, but also, I feel that there's important to say, especially because I know that we have people watching this sort of like conversation, that even if you never get that feeling of I am 100% accomplished and successful, like you have tried and you have this sort of humbleness to realize where you stand in life, and that's very important, I would say. Even though I would not say I'm 100% successful, I'm not dwelling with the anxiety of knowing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I should be knowing more, I should be doing more, and I haven't gotten there, and I haven't gotten there. And you know what I mean? Like, and this is an easy trap that you'll fall into. Like, in your brain will just like disconnect from the moment in the present, and you just worry and worry and worry and worry. And I feel like, it's about having this capacity of realizing that where you are, where you want to be, but also being content and being patient with who you are and where you are, I feel.
Yeah, patience is a very important word. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. A lot of people would agree that, feeling fulfilled could mean that you're successful, and like your general happiness could mean you're successful. But I think people have become impatient in that you can't wait to get there, which is a
I
bit
feel also
sad.
that sorry to kind of like
No, it's all right.
barge in, but I feel like it also has to do with expectations and people placing the word successful as well on what other people will see of you.
Mm,
See, this is how I honestly think about it. Like, I feel that success and any other words or qualities, you should realize it within you. It shouldn't have to come from other people, or it shouldn't have to deal with what other people will see.
right.
Like, if you're genuine, if you're true to yourself, like if you live in your truth in a way, you know that deep down it doesn't matter. Of course, like for instance, I have in consideration like what my parents think or their opinions or like my loved ones and like my friends, my dearest friends. but I wouldn't necessarily say like it rules what I think I am and where or who I think I am. And I feel like with especially with social media and like there's this necessity or this unhealthy behavior that we sort of get by comparing ourselves with others all of the time. Like what we have, like say for instance, like, oh, you know, like people might look at me and say like, oh, but she's very successful, like, oh look, she's got like a Leica, she's got like a Mamiya, she's got like this. No, it's got nothing to zero to do with that. Like zero. I could have the best cameras in the world, but if I'm a shit photographer, it won't matter.
Yeah.
Because it won't make you a good photographer whether you have a Leica or not, you know. It will improve like the formal qualities of the photo, like say with a better lens or whatever. But like at the end of the day, a photo will stand out by its value, and you know its value is most of it might be for the power and like the emotion that it has.
Yeah.
And so I feel like tying up with the success question and stuff, like a lot of people do like place an importance in other people's opinions and the way they see them, like the appearance of who they are in a way. I feel like people shouldn't care so much about that, you know.
But it's a process though. It's not easy to just flick a switch and be like, oh, from now on I'm not going to care about what they think about my work. It's a process to get there, I think.
I agree, but I feel that it also has to deal with the acknowledgement of who you are. And for instance, there's this quote that I've learned a long, long time ago. One of my favorite filmmakers, Orson Welles, once said, "You're born, you live, and you die alone, and only love and friendship create the illusion that sometimes you're not alone."
Right.
So this is something that I've taken in a sense of like, obviously, at the end of the day, you stand for yourself as you're alone. Like you stand for yourself as your own persona, as your own person, right? And I feel that, sometimes like there's been choices that I've made that I would say not necessarily people would have agreed with, not necessarily like I've done something wrong or I've not been arrested or anything like that. No, but I'm saying like, my friends or like, sometimes my parents would have been like, okay, like we support you, but like, is it really the right choice? And I hear them, but like at the end of the day, I have this thought of like, I stand for me. And like, even though I do care and I love when people share, like my most intimate friends and stuff, they share things with me and how they see me and how they think, oh, I think that you should do this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I still feel that, this quote is always in my head for some reason when I have to make like big decisions. And it is true because at the end of the day, like you need to have this perception that in the world, like there comes to a point where you are solo you. You know what I mean? Like, of course, your choices will, for instance, like obviously you're married, so a lot of your choices will affect your wife and vice versa. But in terms of like a creative sort of perspective or like a more like philosophical like perspective, I feel like a lot of people should gain this importance of the self, but not in a very like not being extreme with it, but like knowing that you need to have this perception. I feel that.
I agree.
It probably would help.
Yeah, I agree. We don't always agree on things, and that's okay. Like my wife and I don't agree on things all the time, but that's okay. It's essential, like if we're two different individuals, right?
You agree to disagree.
Yeah. The sun is just blasting through. It's supposed to be a cloudy evening, but it's just on my face right now. Is there a photo that you took recently? For me, like my favorite photo of mine changes. So I'm curious if there is a recent photo that is, that you made that's your favorite, if you can talk about it.
There's two. There's one that I've shared online. There's one that I haven't shared yet.
Okay.
Because I just like it's so very dear that I'm gonna keep a couple of photos private until I decide to finish my project.
Right.
And there you'll see it. But there's this specific photo which I can talk about, which is of two chairs in a street in Alicante in Spain, which I posted I think Not too long ago on my Instagram, and I really, really liked that photo. And that photo was so random. It was just like I was going past this busy sort of like avenue, and I had my Yashica T4, and it was just like the moment of like I was literally passing by. I didn't even stop. I just snapped it
Right.
because I saw the chairs, like sort of like the light on the chairs, and I was like, oh my god, this is like one of those moments where you're like, this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I love that photo. The way it came out, and the why it was so like spontaneous, and it's so like makes me think, and always like looking at it, just like how important it is to just be more in connection with the world around you and realize the value in things and little things.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people, and I do like I do spend a lot of time on my phone as well, just because obviously talking with friends and blah 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 and emails and YouTube and whatnot. Progressively, I've disconnected like a lot with social media. I don't have YouTube notifications on. I don't have Instagram notifications on. I don't have Twitter, whatever else on. I happen to go there and I'll see it when I see it at the time that I see it.
Right.
And I've done that because I don't want to be very much connected to a virtual world all of the time, which I feel like it's a very like a behavior that really is irritating of these days, because we spend so much time on our phones and so much time on our screens, and we just kind of like miss a lot of the reality around us, if that makes sense.
Totally. And especially as a photographer, it helps to be more aware of what's going on around you. And then in terms of people that want to start a YouTube channel, do you have any suggestions or thoughts, tips?
I think most importantly, just be yourself. Like, I know that obviously it's very awkward when you're first going to record. Jesus, I mean, I remember when I first recorded a video, I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, no, what have I done? But at the same time, I had that thought of like, no, I need to do it because I really want to try this out. But definitely be yourself and be genuine as to what your interests are, what your values are, what your beliefs are. Don't set up front, because that's not going to work. It's long term, it won't work, because you'll end up like contradicting yourself. You'll end up like people will understand and not connect with it. And the second one, I'd say like just have fun. Genuinely, it needs to be something you're passionate about. That that after a long day of your 9 to 5 work, you'll still be able to go home and run after what you want and run after something that you love, or someone that you love, like depends on what kind of content you're going to be doing. But honestly, I feel like that's probably like the most important thing. And, I wish when I first started that somebody would have told me this. Obviously, I knew like I wasn't going to be like someone that I was not, that I'm not. But just like honestly, take things with how as they come, go with the flow and have fun. There was a time where I was working constantly on videos, just because I really wanted like to put more and more and more out there. But it kind of like I didn't burn out, but obviously I got to a point of like extreme fatigue, and and I feel that it's not good, and you should give yourself the time, just work it out in a way. I was doing it but not having as much fun as I used to do. And now I'm having fun. You can see through the videos, but I would definitely say like have fun. Remember why you started always. Like remember why you started, because there's been like times where I'm talking actually to other YouTubers, and they're like, oh, like I'm so stressed about this. So like obviously I'm not gonna name people, but like, oh, I'm so stressed and I've got this going on and this going on and this going on, and I'm just like, but dude, remember why you started. That's the most important thing. Like, for instance, I started, nobody watched my videos, so I was like, I'm doing this essentially for myself. It's not obviously for myself that the videos are. My goal is always to be helpful and to be, with my experience, be able to help or inspire in any way other people watching. But I feel that I started because I had so many things to share, so many things to do, and so much of my work that I would like to share with people. And because I remember, or I kind of like remind myself of this, I'm always like, kind of like I am motivated. So definitely one advice that I would give was just, third advice. Just remember why you started.
No, that's so true. I totally get what you mean. Coming out of my full-time employment, um, like a couple of the things you said were, because I basically sat down and I was like, okay, things didn't go according to plan, and what have I learned from those situations? And it's exactly what you said. Like I kind of lost track of why I went into photography first, because jumping into a full-time, freelancing role where you have to kind of scramble for every project, every job, because you have to pay the bills, you kind of lose sight of the love of photography, and it becomes a job, it becomes a chore. And I was starting to think, second guess myself, like, do I even like photography? You know what I mean? Now I have a clear sort of understanding of why I'm doing this, and including my YouTube as well. And that has definitely brought me back whenever I'm feeling either demotivated or questioning, whether this is something I need to do. I think about, this is why I'm doing this, and it almost invariably always brings me back to the sort of fun mood, let's say, because and then I start having fun, and it's great. And I think it's key to kind of find what works for you. We're all different people with different interests and different family situations, and so it doesn't, like, it's not one size fits all. If somebody uploads 2 videos a week, if you can upload one video a month and you're happy doing it and that's what works for you, that's okay.
Maybe like a fourth sort of thing that I probably would say is, if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, or like if you're started already, or like if you've got like some experience with it, whatever point you are, don't look at numbers, and
Yeah.
don't treat people like numbers, because that's not cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people like place importance of like the number of views, the number, like whenever, like, and trust me, I've had people reaching out to me and be like, would you like to collaborate, and say like, and maybe it'd be good for views, and I'm just like, scrap it off the table straight away.
Right.
Because I'm not like that, because I feel like, and with my videos, like sometimes, like, I'll have like an X amount of views, sometimes I'll have like, less views or whatever, but I feel like, you need to do it because you love it. Don't look at the numbers, like, because it's easy to be like, oh, but I've done this much and now I'm doing this much, and now, how can I go back to that much? And then when you fall into this trap, you're just going to be producing content that there's nothing to do with why you started.
Yeah.
And treating people like numbers, because it's like, oh, like leave more likes, or leave more, or go and watch more videos, but not like because it can actually be helpful to you, just because it'll give me views.
Yeah.
It's just like, obviously I'm not here like saying that, every single person that I've come across YouTube or I've watched on YouTube are like this. No, or me, I'm different. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I know that it's an easy thought process to fall into. And I feel that, and honestly, like, people that watch you will notice it, will notice when you become, in a way, more disconnected from like what you're doing. I mean, I'd say, like, for instance, with me, I try to reply to every single comment, but like sometimes it's hard, because sometimes, like I said, like, not always I have the notifications on, or not always I can reply. But I like to, even if it's like 3 months later,
Yeah.
I'll still, like, if I see it, I'll come across, I'll just do something, because I feel like it's so important to keep engaged and connected with, with like whoever's on the other side of the screen. I think
Totally.
it's one of the most important things to do. I don't know, for me.
No,
personally.
I
So,
totally
yeah.
agree with you. I think that's, I don't have a big channel at all, but like whenever I get comments, I do try to reply to all the comments as well. And it's as cliche as it might sound. Like I do enjoy having those conversations, however little they may be, and this goes for Instagram and YouTube as well. Not to kind of repeat the same things we discussed, but like with social media, likes is equivalent to you being a happy person, or shares and comments being equated to how successful you are. So you're right, it is an easy trap to fall into and try to make photos or videos that bring you more of those, and that's how you lose why you started it in the first place. I'm hopeful that I see more people now online that are more genuine, and it is about them. People don't make one kind of videos. They make videos that interest them, and because they're being genuine and open to us who are viewing those videos, it's okay. Those are some really valuable tips. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. But I think that's it. Like I mean, I would love to keep talking because I really enjoyed. I have been
Yeah, me
enjoying
too.
this. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, or did I miss something?
No, I mean, it's been lovely. Like, I feel that it's honestly not been very small talk, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, it's been like questions that have opened our trail of thought to more deep sort of like thinking, and more rather than the superficial, oh, this is what I do and this is like what I like. And it's I like that. And this is kind of like the conversations that I like to have, when you're able to connect with people, but not in a way just like talking about, like, again, small talking. And just like, I feel that it's important to find common ground with the people around us,
yeah.
and like with you know yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I've had like similar like experiences, but I feel like ours has been like really great. I
Oh,
really enjoyed it.
I'm really pleased to hear that. Thank you. Appreciate
No,
it.
no, no, really. I feel like it was easy in a way to kind of like, from a very kind of like um superficial question, we could just dive into something and just like come back and just talk. Like, we crack jokes as well, so it's nice to have that sort of like openness,
Right.
and to have that. So I really wanted to thank you for inviting me, and like being patient with so many problems that we've
No,
had,
not
because
at all.
people don't even know the amount of problems we've had. We made it work. Yeah, we made it work. After all, after technology failed about 7 or 10 times.
We got
But
there. We
no,
got there.
honestly, it's been lovely. And I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to see, like, obviously I'll be sharing this afterwards and stuff like that.
Cool.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I think
yeah, and I
I'll.
hope people enjoyed to hear our deep thinking throughout the whole process.
we'll see what they say in the comments. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Um. But yeah. No. Thanks again. Thank you.